Plastics are being used to such an extent throughout the world that we may well ask what was used before its discovery.
We call it Plastics Town, USA.
In a new plastic decorator container.
Put them in a polyethylene plastic bag.
And to brighten up the plastic tree, plastic decorations.
Nowadays, everything can be made in plastic.
Let's face it, we live in a plastic world, and ever since World War II, we've become obsessed with plastic.
Plastics will play as large a role in peace as they do in war.
In 1955, Life magazine wrote about how the cost and convenience of a throwaway lifestyle would cut down on our household chores. All the items in this photo, it said, would take 40 hours to clean, but the modern housewife, she need not bother. Throwaway vases and flowers, popcorn that pops in its own pan, diapers, baby bibs, water wings, foil pans, tablecloths, plates, buckets, cups for beer and highballs, draperies, ashtrays, garbage bags, hot pads, mats, pet feeding dishes, barbecues, sink strainers, toothbrushes, dresses, all of it throwaway. What were we to do with all of this throwaway stuff? This week, we're talking about recycling. In recent years, recycling has become synonymous with sustainability. When I ask people what they do to be sustainable, without fail, they will all say that they recycle. And when we think about recycling, we're probably thinking about recycling specifically plastic. Since the end of World War II, the global production of plastic has exploded. Plastic has become so ubiquitous, it's hard to imagine our lives without it. But for all the hype that it receives, a lot less plastic is actually recycled than you might think. Less than 10% of all plastics ever produced have been recycled. So where does it go? Well, it mostly ends up in landfills or the environment.
Look at how big this is. Just take a look. Look how far it goes. This is just one dump. One dump. A vast field of plastic 2 stories high.
I don't want to put it too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's bleeding already. Oh, poor baby. I'm sorry. Christ, that is plástico. Ahora. Oh, man. Don't tell me it's a freaking spider. It's just freaking. Oh, man.
And I know what you're thinking. We've got to blame ourselves for this. We're just too damn lazy, and we can't be trusted or bothered to sort our trash and separate these items. But not so fast. It's not actually that simple. We have to get something straight here. By their very nature, most plastics are technically recyclable. And by that I mean, given enough time, energy, and money, they could theoretically be recycled. But in practice, a huge amount of plastic we use is simply unlikely to actually be recycled. In fact, most of it was never designed to be recycled in the first place. Today, we're inundated with more disposables than ever. Cardboard boxes, junk mail, newspapers, aluminum cans, bottles, and packaging. And we always face the same question. I can recycle this, right? The truth is, most of us have no idea. We just kind of put our recycling bins out there and we hope for the best. Recycling is a commodities market, and it's all about whether or not there's someone out there who wants to buy the material and turn it into something else. And the willingness to do that is all determined by the quality of the plastic. You might recall that plastics are stamped with a chasing arrow symbol that has a number on it. The chasing arrows are on everything, and the numbers inside of them are really important because they represent the type of plastic that they are. If it's a 1 or 2, it's a high value material. These are things like soda bottles and detergent jugs, and most likely there will be someone out there willing to buy these on the commodities market. The 3s through 7s, the mixed plastics, things like bags, cups, and pouches, are low value, really low value. With the 1s and 2s, you can usually find someone willing to pay you to take it, and you can make money recycling it, up to $1,000 per ton. With the 3s through 7s, you have to pay someone to take it off your hands, meaning it costs you money to recycle it. As far back as the 1970s, insiders had admitted that there was really serious doubt that recycling plastics could ever be made viable on an economic basis. In many cases today, it's simply cheaper to make new virgin plastic than it is to recycle it. So for that reason, very often we just don't. So out of the 7 numbers, really only 2 of them are any good. The plastics industry knew about the poor viability of recycling decades ago, and spoiler alert, it was never in their best interest for recycling to be successful. And despite knowing that most plastics would never be recycled, they lobbied legislatures to make it mandatory that the chasing arrows be placed on all products, regardless of whether they would actually be recycled. And this, of course, has led to the mass confusion that is recycling in the US today. And it wasn't so hard for them to convince us that everything was being recycled because we so desperately wanted to believe it. Our desires to feel good about our action of recycling is so strong that we have a word for it: wish cycling.
A lot of things really aren't recyclable, no matter how much we want them to be. People just want to throw, everything in, and they wish it was recycling, so we call it wish cycling. Here's some wish cycling for you. Here's an umbrella. I wish it was recyclable.
And wish cycling does infinitely more harm to the system than good. So don't get me wrong, our personal behaviors will be incredibly important here. But despite what the plastic industry has led us to believe, we aren't the sole culprits in all of this. We've become trapped by decades of convincing that we need the convenience and cost advantages of throwaway living.
Whether you like orangeade, lemonade, soft drinks, milk, or even a cool drink of water, the best and easiest way to serve it and drink it is out of a Dixie cup. And you ask your mother, she knows. She knows that Dixie cups save her a lot of extra glasses to wash.
So yes, we shouldn't be using single-use plastics when there are better alternatives. And these kinds of decisions can have enormous impacts, as nearly half of all plastic generated globally is coming from packaging, the vast majority of which is single-use. But since that can feel overwhelming to do on an individual basis, many cities and states have taken it upon themselves to institute targeted bans. In 2016, California voters approved a statewide ban on single-use carry-out bags. In 2019, the California governor signed a law banning hotels from giving guests single-use plastic bottles filled with soap and shampoo and conditioner. In 2021, a new ordinance in Los Angeles mandated that single-use plastic utensils be provided to customers ordering food from restaurants by request only. These bans have not been popular with the plastics industry, so much so that they've lobbied successfully in 18 states to enact preemptive bans. That is, laws that ban the banning of plastics. It's wild. Parts of the country that rattle their sabers about less government intervention are themselves using government intervention to prevent the government from creating government intervention. My brain is exploding just thinking about making sense of that. On our path to creating stories that inspire a world of difference, we know that we will have to send no waste to landfills. One of the most important things we can do to achieve this is re-examine our relationship with single-use materials. We should seek out more easily recycled materials like aluminum and limit our plastic use to the high-value commodities like plastics number 1 and 2.
The green plastic watering can for a fake Chinese rubber plant and the fake plastic can. She brought from her